Welcome back, everyone. Today we will be discussing in depth one of the best sneakers to hold throughout 2021 and potentially even longer than that. After making my video regarding the best sneakers to hold in general, a lot of you requested that I further discuss some of the more specific ones more in depth. Therefore, I have decided to turn this into a series along with the seller hold videos. I'll discuss some of the holds that I feel that do have some of the best hold value throughout this series. A few weeks ago, we discussed the Jordan 1 Band Mid. However, these are actually still in the process of releasing. Since it's a Jordan 1 Mid, they don't have a set release date, but rather a period of a couple of months where they do release. As mentioned in the video, the increase won't begin until that release period actually ends, which likely will be within the next month or so. I have a lot more mids I have been wanting to discuss with you guys, including the Signal Blue and even Turf Orange, but I did want to give you guys something that I did find to be really interesting and something a little more diverse compared to just talking about Jordan 1 mids every single episode. Without wasting any of your guys' time, the sneaker we will be discussing today is the Jordan 4 White Cement Golf, and why I feel they have potential to be one of the most profitable holds long term. There are numerous other holds that may be just as or even more profitable than these, and that's why I have decided to make this into a series. These have not yet released, and I'll also discuss how you can actually cop these. To preface this, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure to subscribe and enable post notifications just so you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like the recent Jordan reserves and restocks we saw, follow my Twitter KeithAdam10 and also personals for you. This way you're always in the loop 24/7 whenever there is a restock or drop. Shout out to those of you guys who did cop from our posts on Twitter, and of course shout out to all Endurance members who were 100% prepared for every product in advance from our early info. By the way, be sure to follow the Endurance Twitter for news on future restock or free keys. But anyway, we'll be breaking this video up into two sections. First, I'll be showing some examples with similar products that have increased in the past. Then I'll discuss the margin you should see in terms of holding, not the retail to resell initial margin, but rather the margin from what you could get right after the drop versus a long period of time from now. Essentially, are these actually going to be worth your time? Just to provide a little bit of insight on the Jordan 4 White Cement Golf release, these will be dropping on March 4th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Nike Desktop. The drop will be a Leo drop, let everyone order, just like you normally see on Nike sneakers, so you'll have about 2 to 3 minutes to get in as many accounts as possible. I will put a link in the description and in the comments section for you guys below to use. In terms of resale right after the drop, I don't think it'll be too great, primarily because of the retail being quite high at $220. We're about 2 weeks out from the drop right now, and prices are already in the $250 to $300 range, which certainly is not a good sign. On the bright side, even when it's this far out, the sale volume is surprisingly quite high, for a Golf Jordan at least. Bids are also pretty decent, not terrible, at least in the larger sizes, and we'll be discussing that soon, why that's very important. This does illustrate that there certainly is good demand for these, despite Golf Jordans having a very niche audience. In general, I would only still expect about lunch money to small profit on the large sizes specifically. You should be able to make a little bit of lunch money on sizes above 10, bigger the better, especially if you have no tax in your state. So overall, no, this is not the best drop to quick sell at least. However, the purpose of this video is to discuss the long-term potential and why I feel these actually are really special. Let's take a look at the performance of some other Golf Jordans that have released within the past year or even past couple of years. Let's start with the Jordan 11 Lows, since that's a relatively demanded model, very similar to the Jordan 4 demand. We have the Golf White Metallic pair that dropped in August 2019. They initially came pretty close to bricking and only sold for about $230 to $240. They plateaued for half a year after that until about 2020 when they began to see an increase in value, and now they're reselling for about $380 to $550 on average, so essentially more than doubling. Before those though, we had the Concord Jordan 11, which initially was pretty high in the $280 to $290 range, but they now go for $500 to $700 on average. Then in November 2019, we also had the Cool Gray 11 Low, which was going for around $240 to $260 initially, nothing too great, and is now selling for $400 to $550 on average, with the very small sizes aside. You'll notice a consistent pattern for these Golf Jordans, with large sizes doing significantly better, and we'll discuss what I suggest for the Jordan 4s a little later. Even the black and red Jordan 11 that initially went for $370 to $400, which was a ton, has increased a lot marginally as well. This one even caught me off guard. Some of these are even selling for around $1,000 or more than that, and there are even bids right now still up in the $800 to $900 range. Even the Jordan 11 No Denim Allowed, which I thought had much less demand has even seen a solid increase too. These were selling for around $260 to $300 initially and now sell for $450 to $650, with some bids for large sizes still being in the $700 to $900 range. If we want to look beyond 2019 though, back in 2017 we had the Chicago Jordan 1 cleat drop and resell for around $350 to $400, a very notable amount, but now it's selling for around $1,300 to $1,900. Even the Jordan 1 metallic white has went from $200 to $250 all the way up to $700 to $850. If we look at the Jordan 3s, which have a little less demand on the other hand, we can still see solid growth nonetheless. The white cement pair starting in the $300 to $350 range and is now getting into the $500 to $700 range now. Even some pairs with very poor demand, or even bricks initially, have gone up a ton. The green glow pair has gone from $200 to $240 range all the way up into the $400 to $450 range, which I found pretty surprising considering the lack of demand initially. We've even seen a notable rise in the Jordan 13 Golf, which was only about $240 to $270 to start and has now increased to about $400 to $500. But with all those great, fantastic holds aside, I must inform you of, and this is where things could potentially go south, of something that isn't exactly on that end of the deal. I'm not too worried about it though, and I'll explain why. So essentially, all of the Jordan 5 golf pairs have performed very, very poorly over time. Complete plateaus, and some of them even dropping in value over time. But here's the catch. These are Jordan 5 lows, not the highs. Not to mention, Jordan 5s in general, even the highs, are far from the most demanded Jordan retro. On the other hand, Jordan 1s, Jordan 11s, Jordan 3s, and you guessed it, Jordan 4s, all carry much more demand in general than a Jordan 5 low. It's also worth noting that this will be the very first Jordan 4 Golf, and it is on an iconic colorway too, not just some random color. Keep in mind, by the way, that Jordan Golfs are completely different than Jordan cleats for baseball or football. We're only talking about this specific Jordan 4 Golf today. Based off this current pattern, here's what I'm expecting for these. Initially, subpar resale, decent lunch money potential for the large sizes, so nothing too crazy initially. For the first 6 months, perhaps we may see a plateau in value, very minor increases in value, and in fact, right after the drop, within the first couple of weeks, I'm even expecting a potential decrease in value by 5 to 10%. Then following that, I do believe after that 6-month period, we'll begin to start seeing a much more notable increase in value. Can I see these doubling within a year? I don't believe so within a year at least. It might be closer to the 18-month mark. Do I expect this for all sizes? No, not at all. I would not suggest holding small sizes at all. I probably wouldn't even suggest buying those sizes under 10 in general. I will personally be holding sizes 11 and up. Bigger the better. So I'll be focusing on 11, 11 and a half, 12, and 13. Those are going to be my focus. I expect a solid increase on these. As for the smaller sizes though, I cannot say the same. Here's the best part though. There is absolutely no risk with this hold. Even if it hits the fan, there is no risk, and here's why. Nike allows returns for up to 1 year as long as you don't wear the shoe. If you do wear it, you only have 60 days, and it was 30 days before COVID-19. So if hypothetically these don't start increasing within 11 months, you can just return them and get a complete refund. Remember, despite patterns normally repeating themselves, it's always possible that things don't go to plan, they might go south. So I just want to assure you guys that if hypothetically that does occur, because it's certainly possible, you can always just return them to Nike with no risk. In terms of the margin, I don't think these have the same potential as some Jordan 1 mid-grade school pairs that we have been discussing recently, but like I said, I did want to try to diversify this series a little bit, and for that reason, although this might not be the #1 hold, I definitely still think it has a fantastic margin ahead of itself. And I do think that if you try to stick to the very large sizes, 11, 11 and a half, 12, and 13, I can certainly see these doubling within 18 months or so, perhaps and hopefully even earlier than that. And the best part is, unlike the stock market, this is risk-free. You can always just return them if somehow they do plummet to below retail. Within 1 year though, maybe we can see an extra 70% in profits, so maybe not the best of the best, but it's still one worth adding into this series. So overall, I'd rate this an 8.5 out of 10 hold, not quite a 10 out of 10 hold, but only in the larger size. This rating does not apply to the smaller sizes. This 8.5 out of 10 is solely for the large sizes. Now, obviously, there are never any guarantees, and this video is not financial advice. I'm simply explaining what I'm going to be doing with my Jordan 4 white cement golf pair. So again, there are certainly plenty of fish in the sea. This is not the best of the best, but I do think this is certainly very notable, and I do think it has very good potential. With that said, there are numerous other opportunities very similar to this, so if you did enjoy this video, leave a like and comment if so I know to keep this series going for you guys. Anyway, that will conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed or you perhaps learned a thing or two, subscribe, and enable post notifications just to stay 100% updated on any hyped sneaker. Remember, if you guys need proxies or Nike sneakers accounts, be sure to check the links in the description below for TARS and Kip proxies, and of course, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and personals for you, so you always stay 100% updated on everything. With that though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.